All right, so I'll get the show on the road. I'm Mike, KC7V. I'm up in North Phoenix. I've got 60 foot of tower up currently with another 20 feet and mast to go. And my plan is to put the 4-element 40 up there, the 10-element 6, and maybe a 4-element stepper. But I also want to work on getting a second crank up tower up, which will make it more convenient for SO2R and a few more antennas. So I'm not there yet. Right now, I'm basically using what's called a Force 12 DX'er. It's a 12, 17, and 30 or 12, 17, and 15 meter. No, still not right. 15, 17, and 20 meter Yagi. 3 elements on 20, but it's a very short boom. And the 15 and 17 share the feed point. But seems to work real well on 17. That's where I spend the majority of the time. Work a couple of Europeans today on 15. It's only at 32 feet fixed towards Europe at 45 degrees currently, but you can run 500-600 watts into it without any issue. More if I wanted to, but generally on FTA I keep it down a little bit more on CW these days. But so that's my work in progress, trying to get something done before it gets too late or too deep into the contest season. So, John, you're the next person on my screen, K7WP.
Hey, hi everybody. I'm in Tempe, and was a number of years ago able to get a tower up in Tempe, which was kind of unusual. But I've got a 70-foot tower with a 6BA Force 12 on it, 2-element 40, and then an XR5 on the same boom. Then a shorter tower. 30-foot tower with a classic 33 just for multipliers, that type of thing. Real simple. Have a little Yaesu 450D I'm using right now. A couple alpha amplifiers. It's been a slow contest season for me just due to circumstances around here this year, but we're gradually getting back into it. It's really good to see everybody today. Wish you all.
Thanks, Johnny. Ned?
Oh, okay. Hi, Ned AA7A. Just recovering from shoulder surgery. Had injured it in the winter, been struggling all year long, and doctor talked me into getting it fixed. So, and it actually feels better now than it did before the surgery. But I'm not using the arm. But before, when I wasn't using the arm, it was in pain, and now it's not in pain, but pain is coming when I understand when I get into therapy. So no tower work, antenna work for a while. I'm in the midst of a big project. You'll see a lot of it here in today's presentation, but the heart of it is I'll be on 2-meter moon bounce again later this year. We got the tower up, the ASL systems up, Yagis are being built, H-frames built. It's going to be really nice. So I'll have essentially both 2- and 6-meter EME stations, both remotely controllable. So it's going to be an interesting new shack. So you'll see all my stuff here in the show. So enough about this now. But I intend to operate CQ Worldwide from home, or actually from Safford this year. That's my big plan. To do SO2R remote. That's my big objective. Using our style of SO2R, where we operate the radio. The radios and computers are out at the, of course the radios are, but the computers run out at the site, and I essentially operate from the head of each of the computers from back here. So it's a different kind of remote, but that's what we have to do out there, and kind of figure out how to do that and to the right levels that we're used to getting the scores from that station out there. So that's it for now. Oops, you went silent, Mike.
Sorry, Webmom Sandy, N7RQ.
Howdy. Well, you just said it, Webmoms. And I've been contesting a lot this year. I'm learning how to play the guitar. And I've got an electric and the acoustic. And I was in the NAQP this last weekend, but I wasn't able to sit for the whole time. So we're going to see a doctor about that next week. Anyway, that's it. Once I get my back fixed, then I'll be back in the saddle, as it were.
Cool. Well, learn some of the cheerleader tunes so Bob can get his cheerleader outfit on.
Okay.
She's got to modify that cheerleader skirt though before I can wear it in this club.
You're up, Outlaw Bob.
Oh, it's my turn?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm married to her. Let's see. Antenna wise, a 72-foot crank, 72-foot self-supporting Trilon, 3-element stepper at 78 feet, 3-element 40 M squared at about 70 feet, 5-element 15 on about 62 feet that rotates between Europe and JA basically. And then a fixed Bencher Skyhawk about 45 feet. And then about 120 feet away from that, a full-size 80-meter vertical. For 160, I shunt feed the tower and has 60 radials underneath it. Couple of different, 3 different receive antennas, 2 different K9AYs, and a JA firing DHDL. But this lot has gotten a lot noisier than it did when I put all this stuff up a couple of decades. Now I've been here 20 years, kind of surprised me. Wow. Yeah, I know. Doesn't seem like I've been here that long. And I just celebrated my 65th year in ham radio this week. And that was fun. I didn't think I'd last this long.
This means you're ancient.
Well, I am ancient. I'm 76. I got my license when I was 11, Mike.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Don, N4ZZ.
Yes, sir. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. Well, we'll start off with the antennas. I have a 80-foot 45G in the middle of the backyard. My backyard is like 100 wide and 200 long, square almost. And so the 45G, which is my big tower, sits right in the middle, as close as I could put it, right in the middle of that space. And on the tower is a modified 25G section where you turn it around, and I won't go into all that, but it rotates on top of the 45G, and it holds a C31JK. Used to be one of the Force 12s, now it's a JK on a 30-foot instead of a 31-foot boom with the other one. It got changed last spring. It's at 90 feet. 10 feet below it is, I still kept my old 2-element 40 Force 12. It's a 24-foot boom. I think that reflector element with that folding section he put in there to make it full size, it's 58 feet. So it's a pretty big 40-meter antenna, and it works really good. So I didn't elect to change it. Down below at 45 feet, I have another C31JK. And of course I do dividing them up, one out west most of the time. As a matter of fact, I use the 2-element 40 looking out to the Outlaws. I want to make sure I work the Outlaws and the other west. And then I have on my smaller tower, which is only about 50 feet away from that, closer to the house, but still 50 feet from my operating position. It's 65 foot, 25G, and it holds a stepper. It's called the DB18. And it worked really good until about a year ago, and it only works 40 meters now. I don't know why. Yeah, only 40. If anybody on here can tell me what to look for, I would appreciate, because I actually bought the antenna to mainly use on 40, but I do like to play with it on the other bands. You know, it gives me 2 40-meter antennas is why I got it, because I can put that either as a dipole or a stepper, a 2-element up toward the northeast and the other west. So it gives me a lot more of the country to cover on 40 meters, and it still works there, but I can't use it on the other bands. Let's see.
Suggest you look for Hector's phone number.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that'll be appreciated. Let's see, as far as 80 and 160, I'm probably a little bit weak on that. I've got a full size 80-meter dipole, common center fed, coax fed. And I've got a shortened 160-meter dipole. I think those legs are 170 feet each side of center. And that's what I use on 160. So that's the antenna. I do have a beverage back on the back that I can go both directions. I think it's north and south. Don't use it too much because I haven't really got it really configured right for SO2R. So it's a little bit of a problem if I try to click that in and be able to listen on two receivers. Yeah, equipment wise, Flex 6600M. I've been using that for right at 3 years. And I came from a pair of K3s, still have them. They were great. I got a little bit more flexibility with the 6600 for jumping around on different modes, digital and all that, a little bit easier. But if I was CW only, I think I'd still go K3s if I was just doing contesting on CW. But anyway, let's see, the latest thing here outside of radio is my wife went shopping about 5 weeks ago and came back with a lost dog. So it is a great dog. It's a American pit bull. And you know that I've never had one of those. I've heard bad stories about them. But this American pit bull, we immediately, he had no collar, no chip. We took him to the local vet. And the vet said, I thought he was already fixed. And he said, he laughed at me and said, no, that's a puppy you got there. He's only 6 months old and he's not developed yet. So anyway, long story short, we had to wait 10 days to claim ownership. Nobody claimed him. So he's now ours, and he's learning really quick. I'm amazed at this dog. They're very smart. And we have a professional trainer that comes once a week. I think we're on our 3rd week with him, and he is really catching on to all the commands that we're teaching him, which really need to, even though he is only 6.5 months old. He weighs 40 pounds and is really strong for a puppy. And he's going to be probably 70 or 80 pounds when he tops out, I think. But anyway, that's, I'll turn it to somebody else. I thought I'd tell that.
Hey, Don,
Yeah.
on your stepper, I just left you a direct message on the chat window at the bottom. So check that out, and I'll talk to you later about it. I don't want to waste the time here.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
no problem.
All right,
Okay.
thanks, Don. I can attest that you're loud out here in the CWTs, so that's cool.
Thank you.
Virgil, K7VZ.
Virgil, you're muted.
Or something.
No. Right now. No.
No audio.
Let's go to someone else.
Plug it in.
Okay, Ricky, let's try you, K7NJ.
Okay, yeah, where should I start? Well, the antenna system here, I've got a 4-element stepper on a 75-foot tower with a mast and everything is about 75 feet. And on 40, I have an 8-element circle array which is really neat because no waiting for a rotator to come around. It's just a click, and I can go instantaneously switch between JA and Europe or ZL, and it works very well. That's part of an array that has not been completed. It's supposed to be the central circle of three concentric circles. There'll be an 80-meter 8-element circle around the outside of that, and a 160-meter 8-element circle around the outside of that.
Wow.
All of the bases for these verticals are in. The radials are all put out. There's over 20 miles of copper radials extending in all these different directions. But so far, like I said, just 40 meters, and that's why typically I'll enter 40-meter single band if I can. Also for receiving, I've got 3 bidirectional beverages that covers Europe and ZL on one of them, East and West on the other, and JA and South America on the third one. For 80 and 160 for now, I have a 160-meter 54-foot top-loaded vertical with 60 full-size radials below it, and that works very well on top band. And then I was tempted, I needed an antenna for 80 and 40, so I built 3 antenna tuners and put them all in one big metal garbage can at the base, and I can remotely switch in antenna tuners. And that 54-foot top-loaded 160 antenna works very well on 80 meters. At one time, I was interested a little bit in sideband, like for the 7QP, I would intermix, but I can't really get it to work properly up in the phone band, and that's because it becomes a pretty close to resonant half wave, which is a high voltage point, and it's impossible to run any power at all on that. Let's see, what else? Antenna, there's a backup antenna. I have a little Titan DX that comes in handy sometimes if I'm having problems with some of the other antennas. And by the way, the 160 meter with the antenna tuner at the base, I also have it so it works on 40 meters, and that's a Omni antenna on 40. And the interesting thing, I always have this probably bad habit of any antenna I have, I try using it in all the bands it's not designed for. So the 40 meter vertical, the 160 vertical tuned for 40 without doing anything else or touching the antenna tuner or anything, it works great on 30 meters. And just a good all-around antenna. The rig is a K3S, just a single one, and the amplifier is an ACOM 2000A. I also have a AL1500 Ameritron sitting on the side that I could use from time to time. As far as operating, it's 100% CW. I don't hear that well, so I tried years ago when I got the results back from CQ or on how I was doing. I think the average of broken and problematical call signs and stuff was something around 5%, and on sideband I was up to 6 or 7%. So that's the writing on the wall. I don't do that anymore. On CW, I'm typically almost always less than 1% of problematical QSOs. So my operation is typically single band, single operator. By doing single band, single operator, I'll be 80 years old in April, and I've been licensed since 1956. And I'm not able to stay up by myself 24 hours at a time for a contest like I used to when I was younger. So by operating single operator, single band, that solves the problem of not having the QRT for sleep. Of course, like I said, just CW. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. Oh, the QTH. I'm in southern Utah in Cedar City. I have 42 acres of flat farmland out in the boonies. I've only got about 4 neighbors within a mile radius. Extremely quiet here, no noise. When I have the K3 set on, say, 250 hertz bandwidth, the S meter reading is like at nothing, like I don't know if it's 1 or 0. There's no S meter reading. It's just completely quiet. So I can hear a pin drop anywhere in the world if anybody's going to be in. That makes a big difference. And so that's it.
Oh, fantastic, Ricky. Yeah, I can attest to your CW skills. Work you quite often. So, congratulations. Nice station. Virgil, did you figure it out? No, because we're not hearing you. Which is strange because we were hearing you earlier. Okay, we'll come back to you. Richard N7NT.
Okay, well, celebrating 50 years of being a ham in June. Like mentioned, I'm surprised I made it this far. Station, I've got a Force 12 Delta 4 antenna on a 43-foot tower. It's really a C3 antenna with a 40-meter rotable dipole on the same boom. And 12 feet above that, I've got a 5-element M² antenna for 6 meters. The main station is a Flex 6600 PGXL and TGXL amp and tuner. So all Flex station, slickest piece of hardware I've ever touched. I worked in mill environments overseas in the mid 70s, and they had some high-end receivers, old Raycals and stuff like that, and some Rode and Schwartz receivers. This thing just blows them all away. Once you learn how to operate them, they're magic boxes. Really like them a lot. Had back problems for the last couple of years. I have a slipped vertebrae at the L5S1 junction, and it gets to the point where I don't want to move. I go to Hamfest and I got to stop every aisle. I got to stop and rest for 15 minutes because I can't stand up more than 15 minutes at a time. So I'm scheduled for a medial nerve block. They're going to see about that, but instead of doing surgery on fixing the position of the vertebrae. So hopefully I'll get a bit more active physically and get some other antenna work done that I've been trying to get done. But other than that, just kicking along.
Cool. Well, thanks, Richard. Dan, K9DR WA7AN.
Yeah. Right now I'm in Arizona and we'll be heading back to Wyoming for the next couple of hot months, but back here for the contesting season. And up in Wyoming, I have limited facilities thanks to the winter winds up there, which have ripped up more antennas than I like to talk about. So up there, I'm pretty much focused now on 6 meters during the summer months that I'm up there, and that's E-skip season. Down here is for contesting, and I've got a 55-foot crank up here with a little Explorer 14 for 40 through 10 meters, and a 80-meter dipole that I use the feed line for as a T antenna on 160, and it's worked well enough to work over 100 countries, so I guess on 160, so I got my money's worth anyway, and that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you, Dan. Next are the big guns, Kevin and Linda.
Yeah, we're big guns. We had a vertical on 40 meters and a dipole at 15 feet for a 10 through 20. So eat your heart out there. A pair of TS590s, and anyway, we fool around a bit. Looking forward to the contest season this fall.
I'm especially looking forward to the California QSO party. That's one of my favorite ones coming up in a few weeks.
Nice. Thanks, guys. Gary, N7IR.
Need to unmute.
Unmute.
Yeah, I got you. I just hit the wrong button. Yeah, not much changed here. Same situation as before. 72-foot crank up, and I got 2 Force 12 antennas on that. 5 BA for 20 through 10, and a two elements on 40, 2 elements on 30 for, I know it's not a contest band, Bob. Anyway, for DXing. Shunt feed the whole thing for 160 and have a full-size Delta loop hanging across the backyard for 80. And a short tower with C3S on it for the second radio and 6 meter 5 element beam. Just recently put up a roof tower and I have finally got antennas up permanently here for the one of my passions is VHF contesting. I've got 2 meters, 222, 432, and 1296 on that tower. And they're all, except for 222, they're all pretty big long boom Yagis. So I get out pretty well on that. And the most recent upgrades are going to be amplifiers for 222 and 1296. So I'll have full power at the low power limit, ARL limit, which is 100 watts on 222 and 50 watts on 1296. So I should be able to keep track of Tom while he roves around pretty well. Anyway, that's about the story here. The rigs are K3s. I have 4 of them now. I have one that I'm going to dedicate to a rover radio. I have 1 spare and then 2 on the table here. All right, that's the crop.
Thanks, Gary. Nice. Steve, KJ5T.
Hey, I'll be brief here. I'm about to have to go to audio only and walk this one for her nap. But yeah, not a lot's changed here since last year. I put up last May, I put up the 6B TV with, ground mounted with 40 radials under it. And it's performed well for, the limited time that I have to operate, and played with some wires in the trees. I had a 80 meter dipole strung up between the front trees and the back trees. Unfortunately, I lost a big branch and some 50-mile-per-hour winds, and it came down. And yeah, you can hear she's getting a little fussy, so I'll try to be brief. But in the early stages of figuring out how to get up a hex beam, I'm going to probably go with like a 30 or 40 foot Ron push-up mast and Yaesu rotor and mount it on the shed in the back. Just got to work out some engineering and as far as antenna switching and because I probably will hang off some wires on that mast as well. So I'm not sure when that project's going to happen. I'm hoping the fall, but it might be longer than that, just depending on time with her. But yeah, mostly just doing contests when I can. Do the CWTs when I can. I haven't been on one in weeks though. Did an MST a few weeks ago when I had the day off. Made out to Huntsville this past weekend and picked up a TN07 mast and trailer hitch mount, and planning to activate some parks for Parks on the Air. So been hunting parks the last couple of weeks. That's been keeping me busy. It's kind of a fun thing to do when you have a limited station and just want to have some fun. So I could just come in here and make a couple of park contacts as time permits. So if you guys do chase any POTAs, I'll be hopefully activating Fort Parker State Park at the end of September. So most likely CW only. I picked up a little CW mini paddle, which I'll be using for that with my KX2, and probably an infed half wave, 20 meter infed half wave, and we'll be on 10 to 40 meters with that. So looking forward to that. That's about it from here. So I'm probably going to switch to audio only and go walk this one for her nap. She's getting a little fussy.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Larry, KE2VB.
Hi, all. Not too much going on here. The antenna is a tri-bander, high gate tri-band, same tri-bander I took to VP to Victor, now a lot of years ago. At 28 feet, we're in an HOA community, and I'm lucky to have 2 neighbors on either side of me that don't care, and we front on a golf course that doesn't seem to care either. So we're able to put up a tri-bander at 28 feet here. 40 meters is a vertical, and we have an 8160 inverted L, all hung off the same 35-foot palm tree in the backyard. we used to have a lot of radials underneath those verticals, but the dogs have learned how to pull up the wires out of the rock. So now we just use the fencing around the property as our ground. K3 here with a ACOM 1010. Well, actually, I'm looking forward to this fall season. We think WATK is going to be much more active than it's been over the last 2 years. I don't know how many of you folks know Tom, WATK, but he's had some medical issues and he kind of shut the station down during COVID, but he's now getting it back together. So we hope to have a full contest season. We only do CW. That's really my major interest at this juncture. That and the two poodles, Colonel and Sarge, I'm a retired military officer, and pickleball, which is my new fascination. I used to play tennis back in the 50 years ago. I played tennis in college, and pickleball now is a way for old people to stay active. I've been ham since I'm 14, so Bob, you beat me by just a few years, so that makes it 60 years for me. And hopefully we'll go through another sunspot cycle or so before we call it quits. That's all we have here.
Thanks, Larry. Yeah, we don't worry about the agenda, guys. There's plenty of fluff time built in near the end. So this is all fascinating to me, learning about what you guys are running and doing. So I'm going to keep it going. Jim, KC1BB.
Hey, everybody. Well, running here, I run a Flex 6300 and an array of antennas that I keep swapping out depending on the season. This past summer, I didn't do any contests during the summer because I took all my HF antennas except for the 40-meter Foursquare. Took all those down and replaced them with my 6-meter so that I could work on my FFMA grid chasing. Did pretty well on that, but now with the 6-meter season has ground to a halt, I took that antenna back down off the tower and put up the Wilson tri-bander and a homebrew, home-designed 12-meter beam up on that. That goes up about 40 feet for the Wilson and about 47 feet for the 12-meter. Working really well. I got to make some adjustments to it, but that's okay. The other antenna, as I said, is the 40-meter Foursquare that Ned AA7A designed and built and applied the switch box for. And since I really don't know anything from anything about that, I've only been an electronics technician for 40 plus years. Since I don't know anything, when I put the elements, the vertical elements together for the 40-meter Foursquare and got it all up and running, I found out that it works just as well on 30 meters as it does on 40. So I use it for both. I've got a 80-meter center-loaded vertical that I got from Lee. And that one is down on the ground right now because one of the guy ropes decided it would split during one of the windstorms down here. So it's on the ground, and it was tuned exactly for 80-meter FTA. When I put it back up, since I've already got DXCC on 80 meters now, I'll retune it for the phone portion of 75 and probably try and get some contesting in on 80 meters since I'm only a phone only contest. And for those who want to know, I live down south of the town of Maricopa out in the desert. Mike has been here, Lee has been here, Ned has been here. They all know that I've got 3 1/3 acres down here that I get to play with and not enough towers to go around. Pretty much it from here.
Thanks, Jim. Well, you're doing well with what you got. All right. It's our Yuma Wonder, Dave K6LL.
Hello, everybody. Good to hear you all this morning. Right now I'm up at, of course, my home QTH is Yuma, but right now I'm spending the summer up here in Big Bear Lake, California at 7,400 feet elevation. And I'm sitting sort of in a corner of the house here now with windows in front of me and windows on the side. And all I see out there is green trees. So my face is kind of green. I apologize for that, but there's not much I can do about it. So you'll have to bear with that. Getting back to Yuma, let me describe my setup there a little bit. Moved to Yuma in 1974. And back then, 1984, was it?
78.
78, she says. Okay, Jackie's behind me correcting me on my mathematics there. And back at that time, the only line noise you were liable to get, or the only background QR Mary or QR Nancy, I should say, was generated by power lines generally. People didn't have all these high-tech noisy devices in their houses. So we chose to buy in a residential area in the middle of this residential area with underground utilities. I had seen that work in Southern California before, and it worked very effectively. A very quiet receiving location if you did that. And that worked wonderfully for about 10 or 20 years. But now most of the interference is being generated by my neighbors. So the noise level every year creeps up and up, and I'm just having to deal with that. So not so good on receiving these days, especially on the low bands, 80 and 160 especially. It's pretty bad. So describing the station in Yuma, I have a single tower. It's a 48-foot piece of Roan 25. It folds over in the middle. That's convenient for working on the antennas. But I don't have to do that very often because I don't change the antennas much, and they've been pretty reliable. And considering one of them is a KLM tri-bander, which is not particularly noted for its reliability, but it's hanging in there, just solid. So I have the big KLM tri-bander, 44 years old, sitting up there at 48 feet, and about 6 feet above that is a 2-element Cushcraft 40 that is also about 44 years old. For 80 and 160, there's a half sloper where you ground the shield of the coax up at the top of the tower and then slope a wire down. And so that slopes down. I use it for both 80 and 160. There's a vacuum relay that I control from inside the shack. Actually, it's automatically selected whenever one of the radios goes on 160. It pulls in that relay to add a little extra to the tail. It makes it resonant on 160. So that's the antennas, that single sloper and tri-bander and the 2-element 40. And then coming down, next down in line is the tri-bander hooks to a triplexer system made by 403, a high power triplexer that separates the single tri-bander feed line into 3 separate feed lines for 20, 15, and 10. And I use that for SO2R. You can operate it at the same time on 20, 15, and 10, and virtually no interference between those. The next in line is a pair of, the rigs are a pair of K3s that are also getting pretty old now. One I bought used and one I built a long time ago. I can't even remember when, but they've been pretty reliable too. So just hanging in there with those. A pair of Meritron AL1500 amplifiers, and that's about it in the shack. So what more can I tell you? Looking forward to getting back to Yuma and contest season coming up. When you get away from radios for a while, I have no access to ham radio up here. I have no radios, and you get to really miss it and appreciate it more when you get back and can play with all your toys. That's about it from here.
Thanks, Dave. I'd be willing to swap spots with you though for the summer.
Can't blame you for that.
Yeah. All right, Bill, K6WSC.
Okay. Well, I don't have a dog, but I do have a cat. Antennas here are K4IO hex beam, an Alpha Delta DXCC dipole 80 through 10, and I have a butternut HF2V that's elevated with 4 resonant radials on 40 and 2 180. Works really well. Let's see, the rig is an FTDX10, which I absolutely love. I'm getting ready for the California QSO party as an expedition again, I think for my fourth or fifth time at least. I'm going to use my new expedition antenna, which I just recently took the single county, single op expedition plaque in the 7QP this year down in Santa Cruz County. I'm in Vail, which is southeast of Tucson, up on a ridge with pretty close to horizon views in all directions, except to the south, which I don't care about. And I think that's about it.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Steve, N2IC.
Okay, hi there. It's really nice to hear from everybody at these yearly meetings. I've been listening the whole time, but had to wait for my laptop to finally finish doing updates before I could actually put my picture up here and be unmuted. Well, I've not done a whole lot radio-wise. I still have the Para 590s, still have my 3 towers and the same assortment of various monobanders on those towers. And knock on wood, everything's been working pretty well. I did convert my 15-meter monobander into an OWA and took down my KT36XA for the first time in quite a few years, just to check out a few things. And sure enough, there were things that needed to be tightened and adjusted. So that was worthwhile. The rest of the summer has been based on my, shall I call it my career hobby, or my second career hobby, and that's providing communications at these various forest fires. And I'm still doing that. I'm home now, but probably going back up to northern New Mexico in about a week to finish up on what used to be the Hermit's Peak and Calf Canyon fires that you might remember were big deals back in May and June. Well, even though there hasn't been any fire there in 2 months, to fight those fires, they put in hundreds of miles of bulldozer lines. And now the government has an obligation to repair all those bulldozer lines and try to restore things back the best they can to the way they were. So consequently, we still have a network of 10 linked repeaters on various mountaintops for communication for that project. Putting up and maintaining those repeaters has been interesting. I often get to very good, interesting SOTA mountaintops that I would love to be able to activate, but it's kind of hard when you're flown up there in a helicopter, you're there just to do some work, and the helicopter crew says, hurry, hurry, before the weather gets bad. Doesn't leave a whole lot of time to do a SOTA activation. But anyway, that's about it. Hope everybody has a great contest season. I'm looking forward to having lots of sunspots and 10 meters again.
Yeah, aren't we all? Thank you, Steve. Lee, KY7M, are you there?
I'm here.
Glad you could join us.
Got back from watching our grandchild Noah in cross country meet. I'm over in Folsom, California with the grandkids here for a few days and heading back to Phoenix on Monday. Anyway, let's see. So the home station these days is K3, and I've got a KPA 500, and I use that combination along with now an 8-element Opta's 6-meter antenna to chase grids. Been doing that here for this season. Upgraded from a 6-element, trying to finish up my my Fred Fish quest with 488. I'm up to 486 grids in the US. So that's taken up time this summer, chasing sporadic E and trying to work a few new countries. As far as contesting, most of the time I'm using the remote station down in Safford. And I don't know if you've had a report on that yet, but we've been continuing to upgrade the antennas. Maybe Ned will be talking about that when he does his presentation, but that's turned out to be an amazing contest station. Just got our plaque. We won the 7QP for multi-single again, and that's been a lot of fun for us the last few years. We use the call sign N7A for 7QP, and have had a lot of fun with that. We use K3s at the remote station, and got our expert 2K that has been a real workhorse for us. Of course, we have the 8 circle for 160 down there, 4 square for 80 meters. And we've got a KT36XA that's up at about 66 feet. And then our 2-element Superstar 40 old Cushcraft 40 meter 2-element that Ned has heavily reinforced is up about 80 feet. And that's turned out to be the difference maker for us in the DX contest, being able to actually run some Europe using that thing. So that's been a lot of fun. And other than that, I keep busy my spare time, which isn't so spare anymore, as editor of the National Contest Journal, which hopefully all of you read in one form or another. The September-October issue is up on the ARRL website, publication website right now, and Fred made the cover. NA2U is on the cover for this new edition, so you might go take a look at that. It's been a lot of fun. I'm finishing up my second year doing that. I've got to interact with a lot of the contesters I've contacted for years and years, and had a number of them volunteer to write articles, and so that's been a lot of fun. And because I was doing that and also serving on the board of Northern Cal DX Foundation, I got recruited to be the newsletter editor for NCDXF, and just got that summer edition out this last week as well. So that's what keeps me occupied in my spare time. Looking forward to the contest season. I'm going to go back to PJ2T for the first time since 2019, and looking forward to being on the DX side again. Haven't been able to do that now for a while. So that's the story from here. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Lee. Nice update. Ray, N6VR W7YA.
Okay, I guess you can hear me, I hope.
Yep, hear you fine.
Okay, well, it's nice to hear all of this. And Lee, I'm just amazed at what you're taking on. Why? I think I'm retired, but I don't have time like that either. First of all, I admit I have not been in very many contests at all. I've just kind of lost the drive and the enthusiasm. I don't know, I'm working the same people over, but that's a contest, and maybe I'll get back into certain parts of it. I retired in 2009 and moved to Chino Valley, just 50 miles north of Prescott. Oh, by the way, I was licensed in 1960. I can't believe it, 62 years. Am I getting old or something? But anyway, I moved here to Chino Valley on 2.5 acres. About 5 years ago, the lot next door to me came open, 2.5 acres. So I have 5 acres here. It's underground utilities, very little, if any, noise. Really nice. I have 4 permitted towers, 100 foot, 270s, and a 55. Model banders on almost on all bands. I'm working on an 80 meter 4 square. I've got most of it up. Something just happened, so I've been working now, and with the rain and thunder and lightning, it's kept me from getting outside too much. I still have to put up a one of the elements that's now the 4 square is my 160 antenna, and I've got to replace it in order to make that the 4th of the 4 square. And I'm putting out a word. I need 4-inch and 3-inch aluminum irrigation pipe. I went to Rain for Rent, and they don't sell very much. I might have to buy it new. I have a pair of K3s, a KPA 1500, and some old Titan amplifiers. Trying to think what else is there. Unfortunately, if you want to say it, I feel a little bit about it too. I'm mainly on FT8. I worked all the DXCC, including North Korea. I chased all the Russian Oblasts, and I had all but 2 out of 188. I'm on the IOTA honor roll. I've done that. And now just to keep me on the air, I'm back on FT8. I'm doing fairly well on it. So maybe I'll try and plan to get on these contests again, put some effort in. And also, I'd be willing, if anybody wants to come up and help me with my station, they can come and operate contests. It'd be fine with me. So look me up if you like. That's it, Mike.
Excellent, Ray. Thank you. One of our newer members, Ron, N6XT up in Cottonwood.
Thank you, Mike. Well, I tore down a station about 4 years ago, and it's the two towers are here now. I also was fortunate enough, the step IR beam needed repair, so I was fortunate enough, a friend had one, and it was about the third of the price of a new one, everything I needed. One thing I have to order is a rotatable dipole for it. Two towers are on the ground. I have to do all the planning because I have to do the planning commission here in Cottonwood. That's going to be fun. And I'm going to draw it up with the quad, I call it the quad pad. But I've got to get to that. It's work in progress. I had two towers at the other location, which had the step IR on it, VHF, UHF, vertical above that. And then I had a 2-element 40, shorty 40 Cushcraft on the other tower and a C3E. I had a nice station, but I took it down. I should have, would have, could have done it, but it happens. I haven't done too much contesting. Just FT8, what the digital, that contest, I tried a few others, like I got discouraged because 100 watts, and like I said before, an infant does not play well. It's like taking a, excuse my expression, ladies and gentlemen, like taking a knife to a gunfight. But it's interesting to tell how I've worked the honor roll before I got here, of course, and I have about 7 more countries for that. 7 to 8. They just dropped one. It was Turkenstein. They discontinued it. It's prohibited in that area now. So I found out on the World Wide Web. This work in progress. I had an ACOM 2000A is one of my amplifiers. The other is a KPA. Excuse me, 500. I presently have been running for a while a Flex 6500 with a Maestro, which is like having my knobs. Got to have my knobs. And I also have a Aircraft K3, which I've upgraded to a K3S. And at the last convention, whatever it was, Visalia, I was fortunate to win an IC 7300. I've been playing with that a little bit on the side. And I have a 6-pack to work in between them, but I've got to be careful. I've got to put my band switch in, or band spread. Trying to think of words. In other words, to block the signal. And I also have coax things for it also. Forgot what they're called. Talking too much here. Anyway, I may have more for later on, but thanks for letting me join your club. You all are really knowledgeable. I'll probably be reaching out to you, a couple of you. Back to you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. We're glad to have you in the club. Lots of people willing to help here, so just shout. John N1JM.
Hey, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, John mentioned on the chat that he'd be a half hour. He'd be out of
Oh,
here
that's
for
right.
half an hour. Yeah.
Okay. Virgil, did you ever figure out your audio?
I switched mics. Does this one work?
Very well.
Okay, yeah, I'm Virgil, K7VZ, North Phoenix. I have a Flex 6600M that I run to a 43-foot vertical. I'm working on putting a hex beam up at 40 feet. So hopefully in the next month or so, I can get that project completed. I kind of dabble in contests, and as I've been working from home, I try to catch as many DX as they're spotted and work them when I can.
Cool. Well, hopefully that hex beam goes out smoothly. Let us know if you need any help. We have one guest today. You guys, most of you guys don't know him, Dave N7NR. He's part of the Safford group and does some remote out there, but at least say hello, Dave.
Off of mute. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks to Ned for sending the Zoom invite so I could listen to him. I always learn a lot from Ned. As Mike just mentioned, I am able to operate sometimes from the Arizona remote. Actually, I'm originally from Phoenix back many years ago when I got the N7 call sign. So knew a few guys from back then, but now live in Arizona. I'm sorry, now I live in California and remote into Arizona, which is kind of funny. And then there's also actually a station here in Southern California that I remote into. I've gotten real interested in contesting in the last few years in particular. And I've just found that the home station, I live on a small and noisy city lot, and it really isn't conducive to the kind of antennas you need, for a really competitive effort. So I don't have much to talk about anymore here at the home station. Actually, I sent off the Elecraft K line I had to the Arizona remote, and I had planned on replacing it pretty quickly, but haven't gotten around to doing it yet because it seems like I remote one place, either California or Arizona, most of the time. Anyway, that's my story. Sticking to it. Thanks, Mike and Ned.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Welcome. Steve, AA7 Victor.
Hi, guys. Sorry for the delay. I dropped in and out a couple times as well. So nice to see everyone. Just another summer here. Summer's almost over. Can you believe it? Just working, going on business trips. Try to work a few contests here and there. Try to work some Outlaws when I hear them. Don't do much else. Still have the 30-foot tower with a little tri-bander on top and a couple wires for 40 and 80. That's about it, guys. Nice to see you all again. Hope to see you this fall in all the big contests. Okay.
Yep,
Thanks.
we'll work you, Steve. Thanks. Okay, that's everybody except for John N1JM. I don't know if he's back yet or not. John, are you back? Okay, so we'll catch up with him in a bit. If anybody needs to take a 3 or 4 minute break, now's the time to do it. We'll get Ned set up for a presentation.
Oops.
And we'll start back up at 20 Zulu.
You see the screen okay, Mike?
Yes, looking good.
Okay.
Was that a beer?
No, it's not.
Oh, dang.
It's a vodka and no, I'm sorry. It's
That'd be okay too. It
yeah,
is Saturday.
My daughters come up and do pool parties at my pool, and each time they come, they bring a couple of 12 packs of hard cider, or these hard liquor canned drinks, and my both the main and the spare refrigerator are just stocked full of partial 12 packs that they keep bringing up, and people think I'm a real party animal, but
Well, we won't tell on you.
I just run a pool party service is what it is.
Okay, Ned, are you sure you don't need some help up there?
I actually do. Need help cleaning the shells off these refrigerators.
All right, everybody, it's 20 Zulu. I know the introductions took probably longer than planned, and I hope I didn't bore anybody, but I really enjoyed getting to know what you guys run and the antennas, and that was very enjoyable for me. But now's the time to move on. Our presenter today, all of you know Ned AA7A, #1 honor roll, FFMA award winner, 3000 club, which is the only one in Arizona that I know of, or even for the part of the western part of the United States, at least west of New Mexico. There's probably a few in Texas, but anyway, Ned today has done a lot of remote work building stations, and he's going to talk about DX'ing using remote stations. So let's get the ball rolling. Ned AA7A.
Okay, fine. Thanks a lot, Mike. And I'll try to bring this in 40 minutes or something like that. I'm going to talk to you about DXing using remote stations. You've seen our talks about the challenges of building remotes. I'm going to focus today on actually how do we use them. And it's not just for contesting, for DXing, but also for contesting. And hopefully there are a couple of just some ideas to get you all thinking about ways of organizing your stations that might benefit you or others in ways that you may not have seen before. So pay attention. Let's see if we can offer you some ideas. So kind of a lot of us started out really meager stations. I know myself, my station as a novice was a homemade transmitter using tubes out of TVs. My final was I guess it was a 6DQ6 out of it. It was a horizontal deflection amplifier tube. My receiver was a Night Kit Spanmaster, a regenerative receiver, kind of a cool receiver. It had two calibration points. One was 60 Hertz and the other was blue light. And the knob helped you navigate between those two frequencies, but you had no idea where you were. So it was a challenge to find the novice band and make any contacts. And I really didn't do a lot. This station in the picture would have been just a dream station for me, but it's kind of typical for the way a lot of hams start out. And we all, after starting out, you want more, and you dream about that monster station with the ARC-V transmitter and the big huge tube amplifier and the big lollipop mics and all that good stuff is what you really dream about when you're just getting started about where you might want to end up. And if you get into the game seriously, you can actually build some really, really exotic stations. This station here is my good friend KK7 TV. He lives up in North Phoenix or in the North Valley. He's into AM and high quality audio. You'll notice there's no computer anywhere in this ham station. I find that interesting. But visualize yourself sitting in your chair operating a station, and you pretty much need to sit right about in the middle, and your chair has to have wheels. And so using the station is probably a challenge, but you should probably set it up for some mode or some way to use it, and it kind of sits there most of the time.
Hey, Ned, did you change slides? Because we're still looking at the 4 square array or the 4 bay array for 6.
All right, let me see. Let me restart. That's interesting. I don't know why that did that. Do you see anything? Is it the same?
It's the 6 meter array.
Okay, what is going on here? Let me restart. Well, I don't understand. Let me try to reshare.
Okay.
You have to have all kinds of skills to do this crap anymore.
No doubt.
I don't even know where to go. Oh, here it is. Stop share. And then try sharing again.
sometimes you have to click in the presentation with your mouse.
Are we there yet?
Yeah, we're seeing KK7 TV Shack.
Now I can't control the damn application. All right. Well, this is annoying.
That switched.
I know. The application crashed on me. Oops. Hey, didn't need this. Okay. Sorry for this. DX'ing using remotes, right? Do you see it?
Yes, see the title page.
Okay. Let's go from here. Okay. Okay, so that was an example of a station. I like to use that because it's sort of a glamour station. But if you were to try to set this up for a contest or get serious about DXing, you'll find you're wheeling around the shack a lot in your chair, and you need really long arms, and it's not really conducive to the kind of environment it's important for being in a contest. Here is an environment for being in a contest. This is the VHF wing of the K9CT Superstation. These are just the VHF bands. Probably at the top, there's an amplifier for each of the VHF bands. And this station was designed clearly for social separation so that multi-op activities can be conducted here. And that's kind of a point that is of interest today, is that had you a contest station that had good separation between operating positions before COVID, you might have survived. But if you had a station with a lot of very tight seating arrangements, you probably shut down during the COVID pandemic. I know our remote station was the absolute perfect design, since we put all the radios in a box where nobody was ever going to be, and we can socially distance in other manners. But it's kind of important to kind of look ahead to see what you're trying to do long term, and then make sure you have architect your station to support that kind of operation. It'll be interesting to see where we go from here, given some of the struggles that a lot of the multi-operator stations have had through the last couple of years. But here's another way to tackle the problem, is to build a nice console. And I understand this gentleman can actually turn on every radio and connect it to an antenna in this farm. Not conveniently. I don't know how he changes the frequency on the R4 up in the top row there, but this is one way to do it. Here's something I don't recommend. Sometimes you have too much stuff, and stuff you can't even fathom even touching. So how can using a remote help you in your mission in DXing or contesting? Sometimes you're at a point where you can't, you don't have room for one more antenna, and I have that problem here. Even though I have a 1 acre lot, I had at one point 29 antennas on the property here. Not all of them were huge, but some were like a moon bounce antenna or a 3-element 80-meter vertical array. So I had lots and lots of things, and there's a point in time where there's just not room for what it is you're trying to accomplish, and you have to look to other means to achieve your goal, and remotes might help you there. Others where whatever it is you have is just not good enough. Or something that like Dave was saying, as you live in a place for a while and you get more and more neighbors with more and more stuff, it gets to be hard to share the spectrum with all their little mini emitters they've got. And the other thing is, many times it's a way to go is to form a team, like we did in this picture here is our group down in the Maricopa VHF Contest Club, that we look to meet common goals, and we jointly built a station at a remote site to satisfy the needs of a team. So I'm going to talk about 3 different remote systems that I've been involved with here in the last couple of years. And they're all interesting, they're all unique. and I've enjoyed every single one of them. They each have unique challenges. The first in the upper left is the VHF contest site down in Maricopa, about 3 miles from Jim KC1BB's place. In fact, we have a microwave link from his house to this site, and he has direct access to the network here, and he can get on when some of us can't get into it from through the internet, which is, and one of the challenges of a remote site is remote access. Upper right is the NA7TV contest site. You guys have seen our talks before on that. I'm going to talk about it a little and some additions that are going on up there. And then, of course, I have a new thing coming up in my backyard I'm going to cover extensively here in this talk. So I've got 3 different systems here. Let me start with the contest site down in Maricopa. This all started over pizza and beer, as many things do. But this particular case was in the Bahamas. Larry Lowen, W07R, and I were on a DXpedition, kind of a ragtag team of ops. I brought 2-meter moon bounce. Larry brought kind of a lightweight HF station, and another gentleman brought a 6-meter station. And we pooled our efforts and put together a DXpedition to the Bahamas. And I was having particularly good success with the 2-meter EME array, system that I had brought down to this operation. And Larry was in the process of building his remote HF station after having moved to the Valley some years ago. And he said, boy, it'd be really nice is after this DXpedition, you could set up your array down in my property down in Maricopa and use it between DXpeditions. And I thought, I have a better idea. I said, I have in my backyard a mountain of hardware I've been collecting for my big new 2-meter moon bounce system. Why don't I build that in your backyard and we remotely operate that? And so that was the aha moment when we started making the plan. And some 2.5 years later, we're doing finishing touches on this project. And this is the antenna of my dreams. This is 5 wavelength 2-meter Yagis. Those are M2 M5WLs, but they're modified. And on the front half of every single one of those 8 Yagis is a second Yagi in the vertical polarization. So there's essentially 16 Yagis in this array. So it operates on both vertical and horizontal modes. It really is one of the best antennas I think I've ever seen on EME. And after we got done, put it up, it worked like nothing I've ever seen on moon bounce. It was exactly what I was after. Nice quiet location, very few birdies out there, and we were just knocking them dead on EME. And then, of course, one of the things that I noticed after commuting down to Maricopa quite often on this project is that I noticed that as I got down to this part of the valley, there was no trees, nothing higher than knee high, roughly, anywhere in sight from this location. I always thought that interesting. And then eventually I found out exactly why, is that all too often the winds down there get to be just incredibly intense. And this array, unfortunately, met up with a building that was airborne in one of those storms. And it went absolutely right straight through the array, pretzeled it up hopelessly, and the building traveled another, I don't know, 500-600 feet down the wash, landed and stopped moving finally, but it did its damage. So it's a challenge, as I've put in some of my previous talks. Remote sites are challenging for lots and lots of different reasons, and you sort of have to be careful to design your site, your system to deal with the environment. And so our solution to this particular problem of the array being vulnerable is that we went to a different design that had a smaller cross-sectional area, so it's a little bit harder for buildings to hit this antenna. And it almost has the same performance, and it's working quite well, and still working to this day. To the left is the remote 2-meter EME amplifier. I'm not sure there is another one in existence, even still to this day, a full 1500 watt 2-meter EME amplifier that is remotely operatable. And one of the components in that is actually a bird watt meter that I've turned into a USB device that we use to measure the power and SWR of the antenna. And we have all kinds of interlocks and safety, or not safety, but self-protection circuitry to make sure that we shut down quickly in case of any sort of technical issue, like a loss of bad SWR or other situations, which are kind of important when you're working with high power and remote sites. So this station is this 2-meter moon mounts antenna was part of the VHF contest station that we ran for a couple of years until COVID came around, and then we really have not gotten back together again since then. It's just been too hard to sort through all the health issues, and so it currently is a remote site for use on 2 meters and 6 meters only. Hopefully someday we'll get back to putting VHF contest operations from that site. The NA6TV remote site has been a huge project for me and Lee and many others, and it's really an amazing station for lots and lots of different reasons. It's located on the eastern slopes of Mount Graham in Graham County, just a stone's throw from New Mexico. When we look east at night using the video cam, we see no lights except the cars on Interstate US 70 as they cross this little mountain pass, and those lights from those cars are 45 miles away. It's a really isolated spot, perfect for the kind of work we're doing. It's home to the infamous 160-meter 8 circle, and it's Milt's Jensen's dream. He spent 4 years of his life, the last 4 years of his life, building this antenna. He, I think, operated one contest from it, and he passed away. And Lee and I have formed this consortium to keep this station, these antennas in use on 160 and for the past 5 years, and we've added a number of other components to the site to broaden it into a contest and 6-meter extravaganza. It's really an amazing, project. The original plan, apparently, for Milt was to operate the station in this school bus. It's not air conditioned, it's not heated, it's got no amenities. Ruleen gave us a tour when we were first looking at the site, and she instructed Lee how to get in. And it's very simple. You just kind of go in the back door. And this is the station as we inherited it. At the time we walked into it, it had 2 remote sites. One was Milt's and the other was somebody else's, which we never really got to know, but it was another remote radio setup for somebody else. The one in front was a K3 connected to an alpha amplifier that was fixed tune for 160, and that was the sole purpose of this station, was to pretty much just work 160 contests. And since that time, we've made a number of improvements, and these improvements required a lot of travel. I mean, we've lost track. We don't even keep track anymore, but it's well over 70 trips, round trips, from Phoenix to Safford, 4-hour drive each way, and we time our trip so we have maximum amount of daylight we can get during our trip. Try not to drive back through Phoenix after that long drive through rush hour. So it's always a challenge to squeeze in a good day's work out there and get accomplish what you're after. But it's the contest station as well. It's put together pretty well. It's been very reliable. Been very happy with its operating. We've added antennas for every band. We're 160 through 6 meters is well covered. And we've got 2 full HF stations with lots of flexibility for antennas. And then we have a 3rd station out there where I partner with Dave, who's on the call here today, N7NR, to put 6-meter EME out at this site. So here is one of the best upgrades we ever did, was working with Darren Jensen, Milt's son, who lives on this property. He's currently living in a motorhome that's hopefully will soon be replaced with a real house, but it's very, very tough getting any construction project kicked off or executed these days. It's just been very, very hard for him to get that sorted out. So we jointly invested in this building. We own the back 1/3, essentially everything south of the door. And Darren uses the other for his office. He's a construction manager for an internet company that keeps him on the road almost all the time. But he will be living on this property going forward. And a very nice relationship between our team and the Jensen family. The antenna system that we currently have out there, I know Lee briefly covered this. We have the 168 circle, the 80-meter 4-square, as Jim mentioned. Also, these 4-squares also work on the frequency, the band above where 4-squares are cut, and you can get 2 bands out of any 4-square without really having much loss of SWR. The pattern's a little sharp. You don't get a full uniform coverage around the circumference, but it's an effective antenna. On 40, we've got the 2-element shorty, which is at the top of the mast to your left. And then we have a 4-square separate out there for use on the other station. And on 30, that 4-square out there works. And then you have the KT36XA, which Hector is standing on, the boom, 66 feet on a separate tower. We've got a we got a Force 12C19, which is used on the second station. We got a work antenna. And then we have 2 essentially world-class 6-meter antennas and stations at this site. I mean, I can't say that enough. I've been on 6 meters for, I don't know, almost 60 years now. And I love a band, and I have strong interest in high performance stations on that band. And what we've worked out is an amazing setup where we have 2 stations that can be used at the same time on 6 meters at this site. It's really unique. Nothing else like it out there anywhere. I think I've showed this video before, but this is the station. This is the closet that we live in. We have 2 racks, a workbench, and then all cables enter our area through a cable entry panel. We've got a really good grounding outside. We have ground rings around the building, and we have the filtering system so that we can work multi-2 is our intent. We have the KPA 500 on station 2 and the 2KFA expert on station 1, the big amp. We have an EME amplifier and station, and then we have all the antennas are managed by an antenna server PC, so that that server will serve up antenna control widgets for all the antennas in our system. So the 6-meter antenna, I worked with both the team, the consortium, and the family, the Jensen family, about getting permission to put another sort of big antenna out at this site, and everyone seemed okay with it. So we worked on this project. I kind of did this on the side. It's not, the finances for this are not co-mingled with the contest activities, so it's a separate activity, and it seems to work out. There's no real interaction between the 2 groups or subgroups that use the site, so it's working out pretty well. And I worked with Hector in building this array. It went up in a day's time, and it really worked well. It was just a real satisfying feeling getting, at the end of the day, seeing a year and a half of work just come together for you. And this was completed in the fall in preparation for some upcoming EME expeditions. And so we were ready to go when this was completed. Unfortunately, once again, we got snake bit. Turns out that the Azel motor system that I bought have failed. During the course of about a couple of months of it being deployed, the elevation motor sort of disconnected itself from the azimuth motor, and the elevation motor fell, taking the array with it. And the problem was that the hardware used to bolt the two assemblies together had no thread locking and no anti-rotation features, no split washers or anything. It was really vulnerable to this problem. Lee and I went out to do some routine maintenance at the site and walked up to this view, and it's kind of hard to explain your feelings that overcome you when you look at this. Part of you wants to just hit the ground and stomp your feet and cry and wail, why me, why me? But the other part of you says, well, yeah, a lot of things are still there and working, and all I have to do is to fix the antennas and get a better rotor. And that turned out to be all that it was. Once you got over the initial shock, the job at hand was to simply replace the antennas and work on the motor. And so that's what I did. I was under the gun a little bit to get this done because the expedition that we were preparing for was coming up. So we were working diligently for a number of months. You'll see the little baby 3-inch slew drive on the upper left, and next to it, it's big brother. That 7-inch slew drive weighs 175 pounds. To work on that motor, I had to invest in hydraulic equipment. I have engine hoists and hydraulic tables and all kinds of tools to work that thing. And after a short while, got the drive system and the limit switches all worked out and assembled, and went back down there with Hector, and we put this baby back up in the air, and it has been working just perfectly ever since then. And we did manage to work the expeditions that we were after, and that was just kind of a real sense of satisfaction. And now the third remote I want to talk about is my backyard remote. Okay, here's the kind of this pitch, and I do lots of different things in my house related to ham radio. I do DX'ing, I do 6-meter work, I do VHF contesting, I do VHF weak signal work, I do satellite at times. So the station is very complex, and when I switch between contesting or contests, it takes a lot of time to get the station configured correctly. The other issue is that as you all know, in Arizona, it gets hot in summer, and if your station dumps a lot of heat into where you are going to be, you have to kind of up the cooling power of your air conditioning to cool where you're going to be sitting. The whole rest of the house gets nice and cool, but your room slowly approaches acceptable after a while, especially if you're, like I would often do in August, be involved in meteor scatter work, and running a 1500 watt amplifier 24 hours a day dumps just an incredible amount of heat in the room. And I would sit there and operate with a room at 95 degrees. So dealing with heat in a house in Arizona with radio stations is something not trivial. And the other thing is that after our success with the 6-meter EME, Dave said, hey, let's go for it. Why don't we get in 2-meter EME? And I said, hey, I'm all for that, because I've been on EME on 2 meters for, I don't know, 40 years roughly. And I had to recently tear down my arrays that I had up for all that time because it was just falling apart. So I was very interested in rebuilding it. So we've kicked off this summer a new project, which is to build a remotely operatable 2-meter EME station. And so given the complexity of all these different sites and different things, I had an idea of coming up with a common interface. I mean, when you get down to it, you got this radio that's got knobs and buttons and functions and features, and then this radio next to it has the same sort of collection of those things. And after a while, they kind of all act and look about the same. And the way you use them in contests, if you ever take your Elecraft radio away and put your ICOM radio in front of you, after about a week, you'll be doing the same things you did on the other radio. You probably would very rarely use something that is unique to that radio. So my thinking is to come up with a common a user interface for a remote object. That way, when I set up my station, I don't care whether I'm working the Safford site or the Maricopa site or another radio somewhere else. It all comes up the same and it fits on my desk space the same. So that's been kind of the project that I've been working on this summer. Now to accomplish all this, I invented this thing I'm calling the Ned Shed, which is where all of my radios are going to live. They're not going to be in the house. All the heat, all of the cabling, all the complexity, all the relays, all the fans are all going to be out in this box. And this box is the one I'm decided on was 8x8. It's has a split air conditioning system to it. The smallest one I could find, plenty of cooling power. They had the box insulated and it's got sheetrock put in. I have cable entry panels and the grounding concepts that I'm from, that I know to work. Lighting in there, you cannot have enough lighting. I've got LED lights all over the place inside there so I can see what's going on. A buried power, buried Ethernet cable, and all the RF and control cables are underground, so I'm not tripping over anything out here. There's enough space in there for 4 racks, like you saw in the previous picture or the video of the other of the Safford site. And I can fit a table and a chair and come out here and work on things. And once I get things working, I just turn off the light, close the door, and go inside and operate. And then it's this box. This is going to be 20 feet from the EME array. So there'll be none of the cables, none of the stuff associated with the EME system will be having to go through the house like it did for many, many, many years before. So this is the new idea. So that way, when I sit in the shack, I can operate any of the sites and it'll be very simple. And I can change, depending on what I'm doing that particular moment, I can change, shift gears quickly and easily. So to accomplish this idea of having a station at home that is remotely accessible by at least one and quite possibly many others, I settled on this architecture. I'm not going to go into this too much, but if any of you got cable, you provided cable like from Cox or something like that, they have a modem that you lease from them, and they have on the back network, a subnet that you can use, and you can use that subnet, or if you like your fancy wireless router system, then you plug your router into that modem, and then you set up your network, your home network, your way for whatever you want to do. You generally don't want to invite people to come and operate a PC on your home network, because it's just you just don't want to have people the option of poking around in your stuff. So the idea here is to create a demilitarized zone, essentially a subnet in my world, where I can put all of the stuff that I want to let people gain access to, while they are connected to it, have really no easy way to access my personal space with my PC, with my bank records, and all the other stuff. So this is the basic approach. So all of the radios that are in the shed are going to be in the DMZ. And down in my shack, I'm going to have 2 PCs. One PC, the left one is a laptop, which will be on that DMZ network, and then my other main PC, which will be on my home network. So this is kind of the basic kind of organization of stuff that permits me to be a little flexible about letting people access the station. So here's the inside of the Ned Shed. You'll see this is the main AA7A1. This is one HF station. There's a Northern Cal DX Foundation beacon monitoring system in that rack. In the other rack, I have another K3 system. It's a 6-meter KW amplifier. And this station here, I'm going to use to allow other people to access my site and use my radios on my antennas whenever I'm not using them. This over here is the 2-meter moonbound station. It's still a lot of work to be done. I've got everything running except the high power amplifier. That's the next big project after I finish building the antenna. Okay, so let's talk about the radio room. Okay, this is now what's left in my radio room. Still looks like a lot, but it's just amazingly simple compared to what I used to have. Right now, there's only 2 coax cables going to this whole pile, and there's 2 Ethernet cables, and there's 110 and 220, and that's really it. The rest of it are just power strips and stuff like that for all the all the little widgets that get plugged in. So I'm going to talk this through on 2 different levels. I'm going to first talk about hardware real quick. I'm going to talk about hardware, and then I'm going to talk about applications. So the main PC is situated in the shack, and it controls 2 of the monitors, the main one in the middle and the right. My laptop that I mentioned before, which is really parked in the DMZ network, it controls 2 monitors, both the left monitor and its own internal monitor. We have 2 K3 zeros, which are K3 minis, or whatever you want to call them, which are used to access our K3 sites. The 3 radios in the Ned shed, and the 3 radios in the at the Safford site, and at least 1, possibly more down in Maricopa. That's going to be the flexible part. And this is a work in progress. I mean, this station right now is set up for summertime's multi-hop sporadic E activity. When it comes to contest season, I'm going to essentially put the 2 K3 minis side by side so that I can operate a single op 2 radio with those 2 radios, and the K4 system will move to the side for since it's not really ready for remote just yet. So it's in a temporary location. And probably the most important thing in the picture here is, well, no, I'm sorry. One last item is something else I like to do is to clean up things like having speakers everywhere. I hate them. Speakers are dumb. They're big. They're heavy. They don't belong anywhere near where your hands need to go or your eyes need to look. And so I kind of repurposed a multi-input sound bar. So from that sound bar, I can get stereo out of 3 different systems. So I'm experimenting with headphone-free contesting. Since and one of the things I'm want to work on is soundproofing and that sort of thing in this room. But that's a project after next. And of course, the most important thing in the picture is the coffee, to make sure you understand what everything is and how it's working, and or more importantly, how it's not working in that particular moment. So let me talk now about what's going on in this station. All right, as I said before, this is set up for multi-hop sporadic E. And let me show you how this works. Now, a lot of people say, I've heard of it, poo-poo FT8 as being, shooting fish in a barrel, is, it's not real radio, or I'll use FT8 while I'm drinking coffee, as someone said earlier. And I titter at that. I said, well, that's interesting. Not what I'm doing. Let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, so here's my local 6 meter station, which is an 8-element Yagi, 90 feet, 1500 watts. And that's one of the best stations in the state on 6 meters, if not the Southwest. And it does well. And here I am operating FT8 on the standard frequency. That's not enough. Over here to the left, I'm operating the Safford site, 6 meter EME with 4 Yagis. This is the best station in the Southwest on 6 meters. And the things we can do with that are just mind-boggling. I've never experienced a system of this capability in all the years of operating on VHF. That's not enough. While this is going on, and I'm working these 2 stations, Lee, he's fired up and running the other station out at the Safford site. And I'm kind of curious what he's hearing or what he's working. So I'm monitoring his desktop while he's on the air calling CQ and working DX from there as well. And that's not enough. I got to bring in as much information into the game as possible. I got PSK Reporter, or you might have DX Maps fired up running on this laptop, showing what's going on in the 6 meter realm. And that's not enough. Something you can do when you're operating 6 is to monitor propagation on 10 at the same time, and it will tip you off for openings that are not quite there on 6. So it can give you some advanced warning on openings that might occur soon. If conditions just change just a little, you might get a path to a different area. This is going to be very important when we get into the peak of the next cycle, if we start getting F2. using 10 meters to queue you up on openings on 6 will be very important. And then of course, once again, that coffee is your friend. So how do I use all this stuff? I mean, this is the important part of this whole talk is what the hell you do with this stuff. Okay, as I mentioned before, this is the configuration I was in pretty much throughout the summer, 6 meter DXing, where the local station is providing one 6 meter station. It's also giving me the ability to monitor HF channels, 10 and 12 meters for openings. I also glean information from the Northern Cal DX Foundation beacons, which is a whole, if I have time, I might get into, but I think I'm gonna have to cut this a little short. And then out the remote side, I'm using, when I can, as many 6 meter stations as I can to achieve what I'm after. When it gets to the winter season, I'm going to be pretty much focused on 160 and 80. And so, and notice there's no activity on my local station on 160 and 80. I have completely migrated many of my capabilities out to the remote site. So I have taken down my 3-element 80 meter vertical array, which opened up room for some other projects in my backyard. And the 160 vertical I had, which occupied my entire property, is now gone. So it's kind of been a long-term plan of mine, is to migrate some of my big antenna systems out to approaches where I use the antennas that are out at the remote sites. Something that we've been getting into here lately is chasing DX on 60, and that's what's cool about 60 is it doesn't count for any awards, so it's pure joy DXing. It's for personal satisfaction, which is, in my mind, the way it all should be. When I'm chasing 2 meters, which is something I've done for a lot of years, chasing 2 meter sporadic E openings is hard, and you have to be looking at lots of information to track the progress of elevated MUF during the openings that occur mostly in the June-July timeframe. HF contesting, I've gone completely to using the remote sites, using the 2 stations out there. And kind of a cool thing that's available now to us is the fact that I can now use the beacon information that I'm collecting on receiving equipment here on my home station. And there's nothing against the rules about using propagation monitoring information on a remote site, making no queues or you're not using information on any receiver to assist in making queues. So this kind of approach will work. And of course, here's something that's really cool. I did this a couple of years ago when I had access to both stations and no other ops using the other station. I did single op 2 station, where I operated 2 stations on FT8 at the same time using 2 different call signs. And if you think FT8 is boring in a contest, it's not quite so boring when you're actually running 2 stations. And then of course, 6 meter EME and 2 meter EME are going to be operated using this plan. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when we get into F2, if we do get F2 good enough for 6 meters, we're going to be we're well prepared for having a capability of uncovering these openings quickly. So let me move on to about awards. Something that's you have to understand if you undertake the use of remotes is that not everything you work at one station is eligible for use in every award system. So let me just walk through the big ones to kind of distinguish the differences. A DXCC, there's no nothing in my plan that is a problem. Anything I can work from any of my sites will count for my DXCC total. So you can have one total system that's fed by QSOs from all remote stations inside of the US. Worked all states is a different deal. All contacts have to be collected from your home QTH within a radius, or any operating within a radius of 50 miles of your home QTH. WPX has an approach, which is their classic one approach. Classic award only counts for QSOs made at your home station. They have a new feature, which is to get a remote operating endorsement, and then you can collect QSOs made from all sites within the same DXCC, I think. I'm not sure about that, but I think so. WAZ is very convoluted. There's a new traditional WAZ, which means all contacts made from your single home station. There is a different award, WAZ remote, which is your home station or any remotes that you use in your DXCC, or this other option, which is all remote, which is all QSOs, but those made at your home station. Not sure what that's about, but that's just something to keep in mind. VUCC is kind of has its unique property in that all locations that you use to collect QSOs for the award must fit within a 200-kilometer circle. That circle doesn't have to be centered at your house, but you just have to have a geometry solution that permits you to funnel claim QSO records from some of the sites that you may operate from. Unfortunately, Stafford is too far. Fortunately, Maricopa is not. So that will work. That has worked for me on 2. And for 6, I can't use anything. I operate out at Stafford for grid squares. Our county hunters is much like DXCC, anything anywhere in the country. And then IOTA, typical of British activities, they got 50,000 rules, and they don't particularly encourage remote operating, but they do let you claim QSOs within a 100-kilometer circle centered on your home QTH, which does just barely works for Maricopa, but would not work for Stafford. So pretty simple, right? Just got to keep all that stuff straight. So remote stations can help you in your standings and your awards. It certainly makes a big impact on contest scores. What we've been able to do to add to the club scoring for the AOCC has just been heartwarming, and going forward is just going to get better and better. And by the use of multiple sites or multiple bands at a site, you can get a good insight on what's going on with propagation, which is an important tactical advantage to use in the midst of a contest. It's always better to know information in real time to be able to make good decisions throughout a contest. And if you had any spare time, or even after you're the editor of NCJ, if you had any left, it would be gone by now if you were to undertake this project like I have done here in the last couple of years. So that's my message, and I approve it. So, anybody left, or did I go dead 35 minutes?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I've done that, by the way. I gave a whole talk and I was disconnected. It was one of my best talks ever, too.
Of course.
Of course, I'll always say that. All right. Any questions?
So now you're going to be the go-to guy from when the rest of us want to build a remote station. We just call and hire you. Well,
I for a couple of years, I did an article for the column for NCJ, and I talked about in one of my if you're tired of contesting, or you want to encourage people to use your station, one idea is to make your station accessible and let others use it. And for me, that was just talk, but I'm doing it now. All right, I'm demonstrating. I will have a station that I will use to demonstrate what I mean by that. Because right now I have that second rack of equipment out in the shed. I have others connect to it and use it using separate antennas. I got a disc cone antenna out there that they use from that station. Eventually I'll have access to all the antennas. But the idea is to let people use this site. Since I'm not contesting like I used to, I'm going to make it available for others to use and be able to do it remotely, which will help in people not having to travel and flop here or whatever during a contest. So it's an idea, it's a notion about going forward, about how to design and use a station for not just you.
Ned, I have a question.
Yeah.
Not a question, is just maybe an observation for some of the guys who aren't really familiar with this Stafford site. You'd look at the height of your towers, of your HF towers, and you say, boy, that's pretty low. Can you explain to the guys who don't know the site where those towers are located?
Okay, that's a good point. All right, we last year we installed the Trilon tower. We purchased an 80-foot tower system and only put up 64 foot of it to comply with a desire to keep the debris zone in a certain area that will not be anywhere near the house where Darren's going to live. So we compromised on that. So we have a 64-foot tower with the KT-36 and the 2-element 40 on top of that. That tower is on I call it a finger of land. That whole site out there, it's like a little hill that they number of years ago bulldozed out in all directions to make a kind of a flat spot in the middle of the property for residents. And the bulldozing debris created these fingers of land. And these fingers of land are 30, 40, 50 foot above local terrain, which quickly slopes a couple of thousand feet down to the Gila River Valley. So these antennas are at 100, 110, 115 feet on a sloping terrain with negative horizon to Europe. So it's about as good a site as you can pick. So it's when you get out there and you're standing at the base of the tower, you're looking out, you go, this is good. And being any higher will not make it any better. It's just about as good as you can get. Now the moon mount antenna is below grade. I built that specifically, so it's behind. It's about a third of its and a third of the directions around the compass. It's right looking into a hill, and that's good because that's where the direction of the bad winds are. So I'm getting less wind in some directions. And I've always said that moon antennas don't have to be very high. You don't get that much closer to the moon. All you need to do is to have view of the moon from wherever it is. And at this site where I picked, we see the moon from 0 degree elevation in moonrise, and it sets behind Mount Graham at about 8 degrees elevation or something like that. So we don't have full access to the moon, but the tower would have to be 9,000 feet tall to be able to see over Mount Graham. So that ain't going to happen either.
Any other questions for Ned? Okay, that was outstanding, Ned. It still makes my brain think about what I want to do for the future.
Yep, just a bunch of ideas.
All right, we're going to move on to Bill, K6WSC, who's going to update us about the Arizona QSO party. Thank you, Ned.
Okay, yeah, that was mind-boggling, Ned. And thank you, Mike. Let's talk about the Arizona QSO party. Share my screen here. Okay, I'm Bill Clark, K6WSC, the Arizona QSO Party Chairman. Okay, the agenda, we're going to review the 2021 Arizona QSO Party, look at some statistics and the AOCC members that received plaques, and talk about the special event station K7 UGA. And then we'll take a look at the upcoming 2022 QSO party, the date and time, a few rule changes, and the new log submission web app. All right, the 2021, we had 306 logs received. This is down somewhat from 2020. Pretty much all QSO parties had less activity in 2021. That's largely because of the bump of activity that occurred during the first year of the pandemic in 2020. So we had all 15 counties activated, had a total of 15,000 QSOs, 21 new contester logs. There were 3,900 stations that participated, with 55 DXCC entities participating, and a total of 127 DX stations. So this is outlaw participation in the Arizona QSO party, showing the number of logs received from outlaws over the various years, the number of members that participated, and the total score of all of the outlaws. So the trend line on the number of members participating is great. These are Arizona QSO party new contesters who are now AOCC members. So the definition of an AZQP new contester is one that never submitted a log with more than 10 QSOs to any other contest. And these people are Serge, KK7RR, who's XNS6W, Chris, NE7EE, and David, N7FAN. Again, there are plenty of other new contesters, but these are the ones that actually became AOCC members. So this is a comparison of the number of logs received in our party versus the other states. We were ahead of Idaho last year, I think, but for some reason, Idaho had a large increase in 2021. All right, let's look at some of the plaques. This is the Expedition Single Op Single County plaque, sponsored by Outlaw AG7GB, and it was awarded to Kurt, K7ZOO. The top picture up there is Kurt operating in the 2021 University of Arizona K7UAZ field day down in Santa Cruz County. And the bottom picture is his La Paz County Arizona QSO party setup. Pretty austere. There's no resources out there, but he has a good time doing that on a solar powered station. The multi-op one transmitter high went to NA7TB, Lee KY7M, Fred NA2U, Dave N7NR, and Mike KC7V were the operators. This plaque was sponsored by the ARRL Arizona section and Rick W7RAP, the section manager. The single op high mixed plaque went to Dave, K6LL, and that was sponsored by our club, the Outlaws. And the single op high CW plaque was again sponsored by the ARRL Arizona section and went to John, K7WP. Single op low CW went to Quinton, NU7Y, again sponsored by the ARRL Arizona section. Single op low phone went again to Andy, KK7AC. His plaque was sponsored by the West Valley Amateur Radio Club. And the Arizona Club plaque went to the Outlaws. And that's the list of the 25 Outlaws there that in some way participated in the contest last year. The special event station K7GA was put on the air before and during the Arizona QSO party, courtesy of the Central Arizona DX station. This effort was led by John N7NWL and Bob K7BHM. And a shout out goes to everyone involved in making this happen, including a number of Outlaws here today. It was a huge success before and during the Arizona QSO party. And if you worked K7UGA during the Arizona QSO party, you can print out this nice certificate like you see here. And I should mention that AG7GB, K7BHM, N7NT, and N7NWL were the opposite, put the call sign on the air. All right, let's talk about the upcoming 2022 party. It's on October 8th. Our time, it's Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And there's the website, azqp.org. We have a few rule changes for this year. The first one is low power is now defined as 100 or less watts. And that's consistent with recent ARRL changes, as we all know. The digital mode was eliminated. Only 1.6% of the Arizona QSOs were digital. This is consistent with the CQP, and also interesting that only 0.3% of the 7 QP QSOs were digital, even though there's a real high point value for digital QSOs. And the third change was the VHF bands were eliminated, again, consistent with the CQP and the 7 QP. There were virtually no VHF logs submitted. This year, we have the new log submission web app, which Bruce, AA7BNM, and crew are putting together. And these log submission web apps are sponsored by the Worldwide Radio Operators Foundation. All right, AZQP sponsors. The ARCA, Amateur Radio Council of Arizona is the primary sponsor. That means that they pay for the website, the domain, and the email Google Workspace tools associated with the email. The plaques are sponsored by clubs and individuals. This year, the Arizona Single Op High CW plaque is sponsored by the Outlaws. And those Outlaws, AC2K, who unfortunately became a silent key a few days ago, myself and John N7NWL are the current Outlaws sponsoring plaques for the 2022 Arizona QSO Party. And there are plenty of additional plaques that need sponsorships. And if you're going to participate, please activate your county. You do that by clicking the blue Activate County button. This chart here shows the breakdown of the QSOs in each of our 15 counties over the last 4 years, and the percentage of the QSOs over those years. So if you're planning an expedition, take a look at this, see where you might want to go. All right, go Outlaws. That's it. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, Mike, I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I hope all of you get on and participate. Bill has spent a lot of time in refocusing and making this more of a viable QSO party than it's been in the past. There's been a lot of iterations of it since it started, but now it's streamlined pretty well, I think. So thank you, Bill, for doing all that work.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
All right, the next piece, the next couple pieces will go fairly quick, I think, but we're going to talk about AOCC accomplishments. Bob KAIA put this together for you. And these are from the 2020, since the 21 Roundup. So the 2021 CQWPX contest, this includes both sideband and CW. The club finished number 6 USA out of 64 entries. So pretty doggone good. Yeah, we've been consistently in most contests top 10, a few just outside the top 10. In the ARRL June VHF contest, that's not our strongest point because the Arizona VHF Society took some of our members for that, but still, we finished 17th in the USA, number 4 in the West Coast out of 22 entries. The 2021 CQ VHF contest, number 15 USA, number 2 West Coast. We had 20 entries for that contest. CQ RIDI, CQ RIDI, 6th in the USA. We had over 15 million points out of 27 entries. Good showing. The CQ Worldwide DX contest, sideband and CW, finished number 10 in the USA, number 3 on the West Coast. We had 70 entries. Most of the time we're competing with like the Society of Midwest Contesters, maybe the Northern Cal Contest Club, medium class clubs. We're never going to compete with FRC or PVRC or some of those East Coast giants. The ARRL sweepstakes 2021 sideband and sweepstakes. Number 5, USA for medium clubs out of 35 entries. The 2021 160 meter contest, number 11, USA, again in the medium club entry with 18 entries. 21 ARRL 10 meter contest, we are number 7 in the USA. Not too bad considering conditions still weren't great. 2022 ARRL RIDI Roundup. We never finished number 2 in the USA out of 21 entries. So that was fantastic. Good showing. 2022 ARRL CW, ARRL DX CW and sideband, number 6 in the USA in the unlimited grouping with 54 entries. So good participation. 2022 CQ Worldwide 160 CW and sideband, number 4. Well, no, I can't read. Number 6 in the USA with 32 entries. And the 2022 CQ WPX RIDI contest, number 6 in the USA, number 2 in the West Coast with 20 entries. Now, I want to mention, it's not on the sheet here, but AOCC has put together for the NAQPCW contest, particularly, and sideband contests. And Bob, I may let you pick this up because how many years in a row is it now that AOCC's the top team has come out on top?
I'd have to look up the years in a row, but it's 8 times we've been number 1 in the January NAQPCW. 8 times.
Yeah, pretty doggone good. It's a great accomplishment for the club, so it's not been on here. All right, any questions about those accomplishments? Like to see more of them again this coming year. Okay, we're going to move on to the Ladder Plaque Awards. You know, we're going to have someone who's very accomplished in radio, not the following guy, of course. Talk about the Ladder Plaque Awards. K8IA Bob.
Bear with me, my voice is giving out. I'm going to get through this as quick as I can. You all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Nod or, yeah, thumbs up. That's good, Steve. Stand by here. Okay, got to do this, and I got to do this, and then I got to do, where the hell is it? This, and then I got to hit F5, I guess. Why isn't this working? Okay. Okay, the plaque winners for this latter year. Latter year is January 1 of 2021 through the May 31st of this year.
Hey, Bob, hit like F5 on your computer board. That'll make this full screen rather than seeing all the slides on the left.
I'm doing it. I'm seeing it full screen here.
Oh, okay. I'm not here, but that may just be me.
What about the other guys?
You can do slideshow from the beginning. Top tab slideshow from the beginning.
Okay, stand by. Where do I get that, Bill?
In the menu.
At the top where it says slideshow, the tab. On the top.
Okay. Okay. And from the beginning. Okay. You guys seeing that full screen?
No, but we'll just get by with what you got here.
Do you have 2 monitors?
Pardon me?
Do you have 2 monitors?
I do not have 2 monitors connected right now. No.
I thought maybe it was displaying on another one.
Wait a minute.
Did you actually hit from the beginning? It looked pretty quick over there.
Okay, I did have 2 monitors. I did have 2 monitors, but one of them was not on. Did that do anything? I unplugged the monitor.
Now let's just go with what we got here, Bob.
Let me go back just one more time here. Okay, slideshow from the beginning. Okay, I'm showing full screen here.
Just refresh it.
Oh, I ain't gonna do anything. There's something with the app.
Don't worry about it. We'll just move on. We can see it.
Okay, 18 overall categories now in the ladder. Contest activity, in other words, how many contests do you operate in? Overall ladder points. 3 separate categories, for one each for single sideband, CW, and digital. 2 categories, one for low power, one for QRP. And then single band categories 1 through 6, that's 6 categories. And then VHF points, DX contest points, domestic contest points, and new for this year, team points. In other words, were you on a multi-op team or were you on an NAQP team, etc. And then restricted points for those like N6HI with 20 feet of wire thrown out his window. New feature, well, there's the explanation of the team category right there. Any category not on the ladder list receiving at least 5 AOCC score reports will be assigned 30 points per entrant for the current contest year. In other words, we got 7 entries for a contest that's not on the list. That contest will be worth 210 ladder points. That's an example. Yeah, I got to mention the huge thanks to the people that help out here. Sandy for the website posting and the ordering of the plaques. A big shout out to Larry KE2VB for plaque mailing. He's going to be mailing all these since we last 2 and this one. 3 now in a row have been virtual roundups. Chuck KF7U led our ladder review committee last year. And then you shout out to our score reporters right now. Oh, see if I can remember this right. KF7, it's K6LL, myself, K2VB, KF7U, N1JM, and N7IR. And the big handlers, the heavyweights are Chuck KF7U, now score reporting for 15 contests. But the guy that's really got to watch out I just lose my presentation. I'm seeing you guys now.
Yeah, it disappeared.
Yeah, I think you need to reshare and it's, I don't know, it's not advancing right.
It's not. Okay.
Click on resume slideshow when you hit down there.
Are you sharing your whole monitor or are you sharing just the PowerPoint?
I'm just showing the PowerPoint.
Okay, I'm gonna end your sharing. Share your whole. Can you share your whole monitor?
I'm sorry?
Can you share the whole monitor?
I'm trying to.
Okay. It should give you an option when you click share screen.
Wait. See something that says advanced sharing. No. This is the first time this ever happened to me, and I've done this a bunch of times.
Yeah, weird.
It really is. All right. Let me try this from the beginning. Resume. Okay, here's a resume.
Yeah, click that, see what happens.
Okay, are you seeing the slide I just had up?
I'm just seeing the plaque
So
winner slide.
I think you're sharing the PowerPoint, so when it expands, it's not sharing that.
Well, damn, hold on.
When you click share screen, it should give you some options to, there should be one that's like desktop 1 is what you want to share. Instead of just the PowerPoint.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. No. What are you guys seeing? Oh shit.
What happens if you click on slide number 2? Does that do anything? Does that move it on the left there? Oh, you're not seeing what's on the left.
I'm seeing what I'm seeing the slide I just talked about. And now I'm seeing the next slide. So I'm not apparently not.
We're still seeing slide 1.
Oh shit. Well, yeah, I hate to truncate this whole thing.
Hit escape out of the share mode to where you're seeing your slide outline.
When you disconnected that second monitor, did you just turn it off or did you actually disconnect it to where it's
it was
no longer
not on? The cable was connected. I just pulled the cable.
Okay, we're seeing slide 6 now.
What does it say on top of the slide? You're saying
Ladder contests.
That's all it says.
Well, it says more than that, but
Ladder. Now it says huge thanks to Ladder Outlaws.
Are you seeing it full screen the way you should be seeing
No,
it?
no.
Well, I can advance here, but then I go from slideshow from the current slide. What are you seeing now?
The same thing.
The ladder Outlaws.
Okay, I don't know what to do at this point.
Bob, I can,
If you can select them normally like this, that's fine.
yeah.
I can just do it like this.
I saw a different slide now. I see the ladder contest removed or added.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing now, but I'm not seeing it on the Zoom. I'm seeing it as my PowerPoint outline type of slide.
Well, let's just do it that way.
All right, can you, as long as you guys can see it.
Yeah, go back
All
up.
right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for this. I've done these a lot. This is the first time this ever happened to me. Okay, ladder contest removed and added. This was last year, and the slide was in last year too. We had the review committee. We took out the following because there really wasn't a hell of a lot of AOCC interest. WAECW, WAE sideband, the New Mexico QSL party, Sprint sideband, All Asian sideband, and JIDX sideband. We added Jarts Worldwide Ready, is real popular, BARTG Barch HF Ready, the Russian DX contest, which not so popular, of course, Florida QSO party, CQMM, and WW Digi, which is this weekend. Those were added last year to the ladder list for this year's ladder competition. This year there were 43 ladder contests on the list. There were 6 additional contests added via that 30 points per entry rule. And that gave us 49 contests this year. And that's about norm. Usually about 50 to 55 contests is what we check in a given year. All the contest score sheets are up on the website. You can download them and do whatever you want with them. They've been up there since their completion. And they've been up there since 2009. Okay, these are the Outlaws that have opted out of the ladder. Usually the reason is they've won a lot of plaques and they'd like other people to be able to win plaques. So those are the Outlaws that have opted out of the ladder competition. So any of you guys with smaller systems, you're not competing against any of these guys. You're competing amongst the rest of the Outlaws, let's say. Okay, this year we had 4 multiple category winners. We had Don N4ZZ, Dan K9DR, Lionel KW7MM, and Tom N7GP. We're going to go through these quick but thorough. This is a very large plaque. This is our largest plaque. Don N4ZZ won 4 categories. He won the overall competition, the low power competition, the domestic competition, and a team category. And that's the plaque he'll receive. Larry KE2VB will be doing the mailing on these plaques when he can. There's a picture Don just got this morning from him. And there's a list of his most productive ladder contests to win these awards. You see where he shined to win the awards. The actual list of what he was involved in is as long as your arm. These were his most productive contests for those categories. So, excuse me, I got to take a swig of water here. Next is Dan K9DR. He won the sideband in the 160 meter categories. And that's what your plaque's going to be looking like. You see that stuff okay, guys? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's Dan in his fighting mode or something. He's got his hands clenched. He's looked like he's ready to punch you. He's got a all-purpose Swiss Army knife there on the table and a KY7M QSL somewhere there, like right there. And I wonder what Dan's really doing, but he wins the award. His best 160 meter contest was from NA7TB. He's one of the NA7TB gang down there. And it was participation that took this year's CQ Worldwide 160 sideband contest. And his best sideband contest was his activity in 2022 ARRLDX sideband. Good job, Dan. Another dual category winner, Lionel, KW7MM. He won the single band 80, and he won the VHF UHF category. This isn't going to show up well if you can squint your eyes and get in close to the monitor. He's got an 80 meter receiving foursquare on the roof of a metal building. I assume that might be Freescale where he works, or NXP or whatever they call themselves now. Anyway, it's a metal roof. He's got a receiving force score on there, and his entire 80-meter win. This is what you can do if you go for some of these single band awards. Came from one contest, this year's CQWPX RIDI contest, and in his UHF, this is one of the ways he VHF UHF contests is from kind of a telescoping tower truck, and this was from a previous operation in GM 44 that he had, and that's what he used there. Congrats, Lionel, wherever you are. Tom N7 Grandpa, winner of the 40 and 10 meter categories. It's an old picture of Tom, the only one I really had. It showed him smiling, everything else showed him not smiling. Tom's highest 40-meter contest, best 40-meter contest was BARTG HF RIDI, 197 points. And his highest 10-meter ladder point event was the 2021 ARRL 10-meter contest last December, 700 points. Good job, Tom. W4IX was the winner of our DS contest category, a familiar operator out at ND7K and N6WIN, and a really terrific contest stop. There's a picture of John. You can get real close on the left there. This is at Tim's station, ND7K / N6WIN. It's W9KKN, one of the young hotshots out there at that station. And there's a short list showing his best DX contest category points, what were accumulated from last year's CQW Worldwide DX sideband contest from ND7K as a single op. And then his proportional score from CQ Worldwide to CW from ND7K as a multi-2. And another single op operation from ND7K in the ARRL DX CW contest this past February. So congrats to you, John. And we had a bunch of single category runners, N9NA and G7M for the first time, KO7SS, AA4Q for the first time, W0RIC, N7RQ, W4IX, and N6HI. We'll go through these quick here. John has won the participation, the most contest activity award, I think every time but one since we've started. And I might be wrong there, it might be every time. He had 45 contests this past year. We only had 49, so he was in everything but 4 contests this year. And it's a picture showing him operating from his place in on the northwest side, Sun City West, I believe. Max George, NG7M, winner of the CW contest category. He was in a lot of CW contests. One of his big score came from PJ2T, is one of the operators there, and also from his own station, ARRLS Sweepstakes CW in the fall. This picture is from W7CXX. I think he remoted into there. He might have gone up there. I don't know, but that was field day this year from there. And that's the first time Max has won an award. Bill Struck, KO7SS, won the digital category this year. There's Bill, and there's his contributions from the digital contest that he got most points from. Got a beautiful setup up there on Mount Lemon, way up in the sky with a beautiful HFTA curves. And they're all on his QRZ set. You want to take a look at his takeoff angles and such. A really fine operator too on all modes. Bill AA4Q is first time on the ladder award listing. He won the QRP category this year, and that's a picture of Bill operating field day last year, and he made all his QRP category points for one contest, and that was in the 2022 ARRL January VHF contest. 20 meter single band award this year to W0RIC Rick, who has got a nice station in Sun City West, nice tower and a couple of stacked Yagis and to cover everything from 10 to 40, and then other antennas for 80 and 160. But on 20, he won that plaque, and that's not a picture, Rick, I don't think, but that's a picture on his website, so maybe it is. If you go on qrz.com, you see a lot of pictures of Rick, and I thought this one would be rather appropriate, maybe after Diet Rick. I don't know. His 500 single band 20 points came entirely from the one contest that runs this weekend, the 2021 Worldwide Digi Contest. Congrats, Rick. Sandy N7RQ again, winner 15-meter category, and I don't know. I think you won that 4 or 5 times now, Sandy. Let me look. 1, 2, 3. It's fourth or fifth. Anyway, congratulations to you, and that's a picture of Sandy on her station. And one thing I didn't do in the introductions is mention the setup here. That's her station, a K3 and a PAN adapter and an AOCC 2000A, and about 6 feet to her right is my station, a K3 and Alpha 8410, and it's all tied together with a 6-pack and some receiving antennas and such. Congrats again, Sandy. The restricted category, John Rehack again wins the plaque for restricted category. That's a picture of John and his usual saying on his score posts: half watt into a 20-foot piece of wire thrown out my window into a tree. And that's how he did it in his 128 restricted points for via mini contest this past contest year. Too humorous to mention. Anyway, sorry about the glitch in PowerPoint. I do not know what happened, and that's the first time, but that's all I got, guys. Get more points, and we'll see you next year.
All right, Bob. Thank you. Good job, by the way. Quick question: Did John N1JM ever come back?
You know, he's certainly a big contributor to the score reporters, having to sit around all weekend and seeing what scores, what contests rather not on the list, have at least 5 entries, and then prepare the appropriate score sheets, et cetera, for that. So
Okay.
it's a huge help, huge help.
Very much so. All right. Well, we're kind of in the wrap-up portion now. We probably won't go to 3, but does anybody have anything to add that I might have missed? Okay. Well, I hope, we can get back together in person again if COVID and all this stuff ever dies down. It seems like every year a new variant crops up, and the good thing is less and less people are dying from it now. More and more, and I got it coming back from Dayton. Fortunately, it was more like a cold than it was anything else, but thankfully. But we're still. Well, Ned, since we're DXing and content, Ned, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
You just want to say anything briefly about the International Visalia DX Convention?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
DX and Contest Convention.
Yeah, I'm CADXA is sort of co-sponsoring the convention, IDXC 2023 Visalia. Don't know. 2/3 of the way through April. Don't remember the exact dates, but you'll know. And it will be held in Visalia at the Visalia convention and at the Marriott. We have a lined up with the Northern Cal Contest Club. They will be doing a Contest Academy. We'll also have DX University running on Friday with Contest Academy. We have program tracks on Friday and then all day Saturday. About Visalia, it's kind of the place to meet on the West Coast if you're into DXing. It's a lot of contesters drop in and attend these affairs as well. It's really we're looking forward to getting this thing back together again. It's been off the air for 3 years, and it's very hard to deal with a lot of the issues of starting it up again. And there's a lot of, as it tried to fire up last year and failed, some bad blood has kind of spilled around the place, and we're trying to figure out how to sort that all out and deal with everybody's issues, and see if we can't just get going forward again on running these kind of conventions. I know I was at the Pacific Northwest DX convention a couple of weeks ago, and it ran just fine. It's about 150 people. That was just great. There have been some others here as of late that have not gone well because of COVID. So it's something you got to pay attention to. And to that end, we have on our staff, on our team is Scott, K0MD. He is our advisor, and we will work closely with him on making sure we do everything we can to provide a healthy environment and react as need be to any late breaking situations that may occur. So looking forward to that. Registration is going to open up here in early this year in September. So, and it will be a no risk registration. If you register and everything kind of unravels, you'll get your money back. So there's no downside to registering. We recommend people do register to help us gauge the attendance at this convention, so we get this done right. So that's it for now. Should be exciting the next couple of months, getting past a couple of hurdles, and then it's going to be full tilt boogie to the end. And Mike's program chairman. Got Larry AA7A is the banquet seating chairman, and Debbie Finkel, Anita Lowen, and I think that's it for now, are going to be also participating in the event, managing the hourly prizes. So we have a big contingent from Arizona going up there to help run the convention this year or next year. So that's it for now.
Yeah, thank you, Ned. Yeah, if anybody here in the group is going to be going, let us know. And we're still looking for technical talks and other possible presentations for we got several tracks to fill on Saturday, on 2 tracks to fill on Saturday, 1 to fill on Friday, but outside of the DX convention or the DX University and the contest piece. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys there. It should be a good time. All right, does anybody have anything you want to add related to contesting, the upcoming contest this season, things you might need help with, any of that before we wrap up?
Doing a good job, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, I'll say thanks, Mike, for putting this together. A great presentation, Ned. Congratulations to all the winners of the ladder contest. And if the roundup is in person next year, I've talked to my wife. I think we're going to try to make rather than going to Huntsville, we'll make a family trip out to Arizona. She's never been to the Phoenix area, so might even go up to Flagstaff and Sedona or something as well. So if it's in person, we'll be there.
Good. We'd love to see you. Yeah, hoping it could be. I don't know. We might have to start over having it back in Phoenix next year because it's been 3 years, and I've kind of lost the idea of what the rotation was. I think the last time we had it, it was in Prescott, maybe, or I don't even remember anymore. But
I was going to ask you what the rotation is, and I usually keep track of that crap.
Yeah, I know. It used to, we started in Tucson, #1, and then it was in Phoenix, and then it was Prescott, and but the nice thing is if it's in the summer, I mean, Phoenix has worked out well. Of course, there's a lot of planning goes into an on-site one, and I didn't think we were going to get enough people this year because you need about 40 attendees or so to get into the break-even thing. And of course, costs, as Ned knows, the cost of putting on conferences has certainly gone up. So we'll see what the next year brings. But anyway, I appreciate. Yes.
2020 was supposed to be Phoenix. I just checked.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll
the
probably
last
start in Phoenix.
The last one we had was in Tucson.
This was okay. Yep, then it would be Phoenix's turn. All right. Well, I don't have anything more on my agenda here. It's good to see all of you. I enjoyed meeting and hearing more about your stations and what you're doing. That's probably the most comprehensive review we've had ever in person, well, virtually in person. But I don't have anything else. Does anybody have anything you want to add before we adjourn? All right. Well, I'll say 73 to all of you, Don, and all the rest of you guys. Thanks for joining, especially the guys from out of town. It's enjoyable to see you. We'll catch you guys all on the air. I am sure of that.
Thanks,
Great seeing
Mike.
everybody.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Seven, three, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks, Mike.
Buddy.
Bye.
Thanks, Mike.
See you guys.